Good afternoon, yogis. This is Jenny Wise from WiseMind Soul Warrior Yoga Psychology School. And we have Paige Logan on with us, who is one of our beautiful soul sisters and students in the training. And I am so grateful to have her on with us so she can share her experience with the training and also share her healing journey experience and her yoga journey. So, Paige, I would love to just kind of start with you sharing how you and I connected, right? So kind of our personal history and how we connected and what brought you to the training
Okay.
and a little bit about your yoga journey.
Okay. Yoga journey, first of all, it started in college for me out in the University of Utah, and they actually had a yoga class. And that was my first yoga class. I used to take a lot of, back in the 80s, I used to take a lot of the exercise classes with my mom, the thigh ones and the calisthenic exercises. And then I was a dancer. So I did a lot of Pilates and dance. But when I moved out to Utah, I still danced some, but I wasn't majoring in dance. And I did a lot of outdoor stuff instead. And I loved that. And that helped me to connect, obviously, but I was still missing a piece. And so yoga kind of filled that void for me for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I discovered it and just kept going with it. And, it's been in my life on and off throughout. I'd say there'd be a year maybe where I didn't do yoga, or maybe I dabbled in it. And then a year where I would just dive deep into it. And then, it ebbed and flowed depending on what was going on with my life, which is great. The great thing about yoga, it comes to you when you need it. And I've been more into it the last 5 years because I teach kids yoga and dove into that pretty deeply 4 years ago and was very active in it for a good 2.5 years. And then decided I really need to do something for myself. I'm going back to grad school for education. Kind of a crazy time to enter the teacher profession. So you do hear so much about the stress that teachers are under, and just how you need to take care of yourself in that profession, and how they're lacking the skills for that. So really in the last year to year and a half, I've been trying to tackle that along with my grad studies to prepare me almost when I go out there and spread my wings, to prepare me to be able to handle teaching just in general for myself. You get that tools in my tool belt for me.
Right.
And you were connected to another person, a couple people that I knew in the yoga community. And so yours came up on my feed, and then I kept seeing it for probably a good 6 months. It was WiseMind Yoga and all these interesting things that you would post and different tips of advice. And it just really, it stayed on my radar, and I would like it. So things would pop back up, which was great. And finally one day, I think it was last fall, gosh, 9 months ago, maybe, I just finally reached out to you, and I was like, you know what? This seems like something that I would really be interested in. And I really wanted to do this for myself. And you immediately, we had a 30-minute call, and I think it ended up being longer than 30 minutes. You got to know me.
And usually do go longer than that.
And you just, you put me at ease, and you were definitely like, this seems like something that you really could do. Let's give it some thought. Let's lay out a plan. And it's exactly what you did. And then as far as even cost goes too, we laid out a plan and worked that out for me as well. So on a good payment plan, which really worked for me. And you let me start. I think I started in November. Yeah, I think it was November. October. I might have reached out to you in October. And then I started in November, and then really kicked it into high gear in December to go through some of the modules. Right now, I'm still on only module 4, and I'm hoping to wrap that module 4 up soon.
Good.
Like I'm ready for it. But it's been a great thing for me because the pace, I can ebb and flow with it too. I try to be very good with the practice, because I know that's not a practice I need, and I need the breath work. But then actually just going on the module and the LMS to be able to, go through each week, go through the hours that you need that you're teaching, the actual, the teachings when you're getting into kind of the nitty gritty of wise mind psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sometimes I don't get to as much during the week. And I have weeks where I'm like, okay, I dive in and I'm able to get to it a lot. And then other weeks where I'm not. So that works for my schedule.
Right.
I feel like it's very doable and I'm not feeling like I'm, not succeeding at it. And I think sometimes we sign up for these things that we don't really put together what it is for real life and then online courses. And then I think sometimes so many people end up fading off and trickling out of the picture because they signed up for too much. And for your class, it's definitely been like, okay, wait, no, I can do this. I can handle it. And if I can't handle it this week, this can be on pause and I can do this part of it. And then I can pick back up the next week. So that's been beneficial for me.
Yeah. And it's been it's interesting. I'm glad you're sharing that because there's been a lot of students that have shared that as well, as far as, having the flexibility to be able to do the pre-recorded along with the, the lives. I mean, you get me live as well as an option. So you definitely have the support, you have the mentor support. So there is a live component.
Right.
But then the other piece, like you said, that's pre-recorded, that you can do it at your own pace and at your own time, which makes it a lot easier. And we have a lot of students like you that will kind of ebb and flow, where they try to have maybe a minimum of X amount of classes a week. Yeah. And then certain weeks they're kind of digesting more, almost like Netflix sort of.
Yeah. This is
like a Netflix binge, except it's a wise binge.
Exactly what I do.
And then they do not as many, so that is what I've seen, I think, more so than like consistently every week, like every week, again, if you can do X amount of hours, like maybe you're taking a few classes or a few sadhanas, and then anything else that you can get done on top of that. And then you just make up for it as you go. Right. So we really, like you said, we really try to make it easy, and we really are flexible, and we, of course, want you to be successful. Right. I mean, there's no pass fail, like, for example, when people are practicing with the mentors, there's no pass fail. It's just meant to create a safe space for people to practice. Right. That's part of the practicum part of it. Yeah. So just to share that, because I know some people get nervous with that, and it's like, it's just part of teacher training, right? Any teacher training you're in is going to require you to teach. Right? So this is not a WiseMind thing. This is a YTT thing. This is a Yoga Alliance thing. That's because we are a Yoga Alliance accredited school. So you do need to practice, and any yoga teacher training that you go through that you're getting a certification, you should be practicing. Okay. So let me just say that. I think that goes without being said, but I just wanted to.
It's true. It's true. You learn from that. You learn from teaching.
Yeah.
Like you just absorb it. You absorb it more. You absorb the information. When you have to, you absorb it and then you have to regurgitate it basically to somebody, then I feel like it resonates more or settles in. So that does help. Even if it's, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, the first step of really learning that material.
Right. And I think also, you might have heard me talk about this. I talked about this with Archana, and I think Anita also, that, the thing about yoga teacher training, and any yoga teacher training, but especially this one, because of the level of transformation and healing and inner work, the shadow work and things that you're going into, and the family of origin and root cause and all of that, and your, trauma and healing journey, is you're going outside your comfort zone. Yeah. Right. And there is no growth outside your within your comfort zone.
Yeah, you got it.
You grow outside your comfort zone. Okay. And so that's part of, for example, the teaching and the practicing, sharing my own experience. And I know you can relate to this. When I first started teaching, it was the same thing, right? Like I had to learn, I was telling somebody this, I had to learn how to take somebody through a Sun A in Sanskrit. I had to actually learn to count in Sanskrit. So, and that was like 3 months into yoga. I had only been taking yoga for like 3 months. I barely even knew the poses, and I was in a training. So that is how it resonated for me. And so I wanted to share a minute. This for the people watching this, or the people that watch the replay. that yoga for my path has been very much a mental yoga for mental health and yoga for healing and transformation.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
when I started yoga, I had depression and anxiety, insomnia, and I was burned out in my
Yeah,
corporate
yeah.
role. And I was forced to have to find something that was going to help me. And yoga and meditation and mindfulness and cognitive behavioral change and learning how to train my thoughts was the starting point back in 2013 that has now led me to where we are now. So I
Mhm.
just want to mention that because everybody has different paths of
Right.
how they come to yoga. Sometimes it's a physical path and they have an injury. Sometimes it's an emotional path, mental path. Sometimes it's spiritual. Sometimes it's a combination.
Yeah, yeah.
So where would you say your path resonated from? Like what spiritual,
I think for
emotional?
me, the beginning of yoga, it's taken me on a complete journey. The beginning of
Mhm,
yoga was more of a physical. I wanted to connect to my body. And I was so
mhm,
used to with dance, the mind body connection and just having that naturally throughout my life. I
mhm.
always knew there was a difference inside of me when I wasn't dancing. And
Yeah.
I didn't feel as grounded. And so as I got older, and especially pre-kids and during kids, yoga really helped me to feel grounded,
Mhm,
with sleepless nights and just feeling like your world is kind of spinning. You're not really sure. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you don't really know your world anymore. So it definitely would bring me back to a baseline with that. And
mhm.
then I sort of stepped out of it for a while because I was a horse person. So for some reason, when the balance is, of course, for me is nature and having yoga all in one. But sometimes I notice I'll go one way or the other, and then the pendulum swings back. But in the more recent years, the last 5 years, I
Mhm.
really picked back up yoga for my kids
Mm.
because I noticed when we moved, I went through a big transition in my life, and I just felt like, gosh, my kids need these tools. They need something, and I really need to do something about this. Like, I need to give them that tool
Mhm.
where they have a space in their bodies, and their breath is
Yeah.
obviously the main one that they can take with them.
Mhm.
Their dad and their mom separated. We moved to a new town, new schools, and so that was kind of my incentive this go round.
Mhm.
But I've come back to yoga for many different reasons throughout the years.
Yeah.
And so I would say 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I went into it for that. And then now it's changed,
Mhm.
where now it's definitely more for me because
Right.
I've realized as an adult, my world is changing with grad school and going back out into the field with a career.
Mhm.
And I need to be able to handle a lot of kids and make sure that my reaction is a positive reaction,
Mhm.
and that my patience is there, that I'm feeling grounded. So I'm trying to make sure, basically you learn a lot of your mistakes on your own kids, right? So so I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I reacted like that, or
Yeah.
different things like that. Where I'm like, I can't do that in school. And so
Yeah,
I
and
think
by the way, I wanted to tell you that it's so cool that you did the yoga class with your son, you said. Was that last Saturday?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
really cool that
yes,
you did that.
yes. He has picked it back up with me, which is really cute
Mhm.
because he's asked. So at night now, sometimes it's like 9:30 at night. I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if I could do it again today. We really need to get to bed. And then I have to stop
Mhm.
myself and go, you know what, this kid must be needing this because he's asking for it. So yeah, he did a whole hour of one of your practices, and he said, Mom, I don't want to do one of the kids yoga classes like that you used to teach. Like those were great, but I really want to try the
It's
adult
ready
ones.
for the
Ones that you
the
do by
adult
that
one.
Miss Jenny. I said, okay, let's try it. And so he
That's
did.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing, and I would definitely encourage you. Other people in the training have done this as well, where they have taken other journaling exercises, other moms, and
Hmm.
they've done stuff like treating yourself like your own best friend, journaling exercise, and some of the other journaling exercises with their kids. So I just
Ooh.
wanted to share that as well, that you are welcome to do that, and anybody else who takes the training is welcome to do that with their own kids.
Okay. Great idea.
And as far as what attracted you to Wise Mind Soul Warrior and the yoga psychology school, I know a component of it was yoga psychology. what else kind of attracted you to this particular training?
Well, for me, I definitely, the inner critic, as far as really how you talk to yourself was a big part of it. And I think
Mhm.
I didn't used to talk to myself in this way. I think for me, it's been more the older I've gotten, I've started to talk to myself, which for a lot of people it's the reverse. But
Mhm.
I feel like in the last so many years, I found myself saying, you don't have enough time to do that. Paige, how are you going to ever get that done in a day? Like those types of things. Or just relationship patterns too that I've noticed that have
Mhm.
continued to take place. And you
Mhm.
start to kind of question yourself, and you wonder, well, what is it that I'm doing
Mhm.
in these relationships? What am I bringing to the table, or what am I not bringing to the table that I thought I was bringing to the table, or that you're even told that you're bringing to the table?
Right.
So you question those things, and
Mhm.
for me, that's been really insightful. And I've been able to dig with your
Mhm.
modules, guiding me through some of that shadow work and healing the inner critic,
Mhm.
and bringing those forward, to be
Mhm.
able to recognize them, notice them. And one of the biggest takeaways for me is just that pause. Like, I can react to things because I go by feeling. I'm an emotional person, and so my logical brain can be taken over by emotions.
Mhm.
And I do go by gut instinct, gut feeling a lot. But in
Mhm.
the last so many years, I noticed I'm questioning that gut instinct more so than I used to ever. And it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, I don't know, and depending on the scenario. But I think the pause and letting me sit with it for a little bit and just recognizing, I don't have to make a decision now about this, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Um, that's been very helpful
Yeah,
for me.
well, I love you probably remember me using this analogy of the pause button between stimulus and response, and like we're imagining a pause button, like the easy button, like a
And
big red button
yeah,
that says pause, right? Or you imagine like a stop sign that says pause.
yeah, I love that.
That is a visualization that you can use on a daily basis to help you train the brain to pause between stimulus and response. And the longer you do it, the easier it becomes to create the pause
Mhm.
and that you're not reacting, you're responding.
Right,
Does that make
right,
sense?
right. That's and
Yeah.
that's been very helpful for me. It's like these things, but then you don't do them a lot of times. So that's been helpful for me to actually implement in my life.
Mhm.
And even just, even if you know that the other person might be in the wrong, but if you
Yeah.
react, then you're brought down to that level, and then
Mhm.
you become the person that looks like you're in the wrong too. So it's definitely
Yes.
a tricky little dance to do.
Yes, you
And
have to let go of that, let go of the need to be right.
you do.
I've had other people in my life, I won't name, that I call a right fighter.
Right,
Right
yes, this is
fighter is
important.
someone who
Say that.
has to be right. And so no matter what is going on, right, we're also creating judgment in that scenario too,
Yeah,
right? The judgment of someone is being right and someone is being wrong. So obviously when you're in a relationship, that doesn't work,
no,
right? We have
no.
to find a win-win that both
Mhm.
people feel seen and heard and that there is not a right and a wrong,
That's
right?
yeah, I would
And
agree.
so that's what we teach you about the conscious communication, the mindful communication, being able to create the pause and to
Mhm.
know, like what you just said, when you're in that space of what we call emotion mind, when you're not in wise mind, you're in emotion mind,
Right.
and realizing, like, oh, okay, you can actually pause enough and observe yourself in witness mind to be like, oh, that's interesting. I'm in emotion mind. I need to communicate that to my partner or my husband and say, hey, I'm not in a place to talk about this right now. I actually need to take a pause. And
Mhm.
this might take me a couple hours. This might take me a couple
Right.
days. I'm acknowledging that this is important. I am not trying to avoid this. We need to talk about this. However, if we talk about this right now, this is not going to be a productive conversation. So you learn to be able to communicate in a kind, calm, conscious way and to know when you're in a place to not talk about something, because that's, of course, as you know, when you say and do things you wish you didn't do.
Right. Right.
And
And
you wish you would have said.
safety zone too. So if the other person can accept that and you're saying it in a way that is still safe for them, doesn't feel like you are turning your back, that you're shutting the door, or whatever it might be that might feel rejection on their side, then that creates a safe zone, so everybody benefits from it.
Yeah, exactly. And we are all about students learning and women learning to live their yoga off their mat, and that includes in relationships.
Yeah.
So that goes for the relationship, of course, with yourself, right? An unconditional love for yourself and non-judgment. And then that also goes out to naturally to your relationships, and especially as a mom, because the more you love yourself, the more you can love other people unconditionally, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So can you just a little bit more on the inner critic? What are some inner critics that you feel like you've identified, like perfectionism or workaholic, taskmaster, overachiever, imposter syndrome of who do you think you are, comparison of other women? Like, which of those four, and it could be multiple of those, do you kind of feel that you started to heal and you've started to transform?
Oh, taskmaster is a big one for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. And the comparison one, that's one that has been brought forward to me, because I didn't really feel like that was one that I related to that much. But I realize the more I am online, the more I do realize that it's there, even if you're not conscious of it. Does that make sense? Like, whoa, because now that I've been conscious of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a big thing. No wonder I'm real aware with the teen social media stuff right now. And that's something I've been interested in. So I've been reading about and talking to different parents about that. So that obviously has been brought to light for me. And so even for myself, recognizing that and realizing, wow, when I'm scrolling through Facebook or I'm on social media and you see these things, it's just these we're bombarded with so many images of things that the way they should be, what we should look like, whether even yoga, yoga pose. If you're looking at something you think that's even beautiful, might be admiring it, but then that sets a standard in our mind sometimes. Well, I should be able to do that, or I should look like that when I'm in that pose.
Well, Paige, that's a whole nother conversation. We literally have a discussion about Instagram and yoga and all of that. I could talk about that for hours, but I'll just make a comment on that I feel like sometimes all the stuff that's on Instagram or that's on social media is a disservice to yoga, because yoga is a breath practice first. And if somebody sat on their mat and just breathed, they would be doing yoga.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do a handstand. You don't have to do fancy poses. That's all cool. And there is nothing. I'm happy for the people that do those amazing things. But the point being, for a majority of the population, they're more at a beginner's level.
Yeah.
And that is how we teach, and that is how I teach. So I will always give like advanced poses and different layers and options for people that are at different stages in their practice. However, I'm always teaching at the base level, at the beginner to intermediate level, that everyone
can do.
And it's meant to be a transformational, healing, therapeutic style of yoga. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, and I think too, with your style of yoga that you teach, like even when I feel like I'm even a little bit more advanced, it's those beginning poses. If you are an advanced student, you're getting a lot out of it, because you know which muscles to hold and how to hold them in place. And so you are, warrior 1, warrior 2, you should be getting just as much out of it, in my opinion.
It's true. And you're holding it, right? So I do more of a slow flow and slow flow to yin. And so you're holding, it's a longer vinyasa.
Yeah.
It's a slow flow vinyasa that you're right. You're in the pose and you're actually able to really breathe. And part of that also allows you to really ground your nervous system. And you're doing a lot of work by, doing a mindful movement, right? Where you're not just boom, 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 power vinyasa, right? Which we've both done. We've both done both of those, and that has its place. But that's not the style that we're looking to teach here, because this is meant to be more therapeutic.
Right.
Okay, so I know you talked a little bit about this, but can you share a little bit more about your experience with me when we got on a consultation? For those people that might be on with us right now or might watch the replay and they're like, I don't know, Jenny, here she is online. She's asking me to go on a consultation call. And that's part of our process, right? That's part of our enrollment process of letting people into the program. So share with people what it was like getting on a call with me.
Oh, easy. I mean, it's so easy. It's like this. You're sitting there talking to a friend. So it's you guide the questions, and it just seems like a natural exchange of conversation. And as obviously you get to know, you're a very warm person. So as somebody is talking to you, you seem to know what questions to ask, to know where they are and where to meet them in that moment of time, and to figure out too if it's the right fit for them at this time, and you're very open and honest about that, which is great.
Right.
I think you take that into consideration with each client to say, is this something that you can commit to? What is your schedule like? So you dig a little bit as far as figuring out, is this something that is obtainable for you right now? Because you do want to set us all up for success and for us to be able to graduate and have those credentials, but also enjoy it along the way and really take it in.
Right.
So yeah. I think it was easy is the word that I would say.
Easy breezy. Yeah. I mean,
easy, yes.
I'm not here to like push any people into anything. I'm here to do a consultation. Usually it's like what you just said, you just described, like, we're going to talk about, here's some things I'm struggling with. Here's some patterns I might be struggling with. Here's some things I can see how the program might help me. And they might be struggling with depression, anxiety. It could be certain behavior patterns. They could have something going on in their relationship. It could be a yoga teacher that's looking to grow a business, right? So it's kind of all over. So it's very customized. It truly is a consultation where someone's going to tell me, okay, this is where I am. This is where I want to get to. Yeah. What's the gap? And does the program align to all of that? And then if that all aligns and they're aligned, that it's going to be a good fit coming into the rest of the group, and we're aligned and their timing is good and they're ready, then the financial piece will work through, and I'll work through different payment plans of what works for their particular budget. And so you of all people know that, and many other people, Archana, Anita, everybody else who's gotten on has shared that I am, I customize different payment plans based on where the person is. And I take that into account with every single of the 20 students that are going to be joining us. I do that with every single student, and I've done that for years.
Right. Okay.
Just know that I do everything in my power to figure out a plan that is not going to be the obstacle for that student to join.
Right.
Okay. So
great.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, can you talk a little bit? I love how you share when you watch the sadhanas and the asanas and you do them like out on your deck, and you've done stuff like in your screened-in porch and different places. You've done such an amazing job with like sharing that, and you've been, sharing it in the Facebook group with other students, and just like really being dedicated to watching the videos and actively really like diving into the training. I would love for you to kind of share, your experience with the learning management system and the manual, what you did with the manual and the syllabus checklist and some of the things, working with me one-on-one, working with Chrissy as a mentor, like just your general experience of what it's been like in the program.
For me, I'm a paper person a lot of times, but this has really worked for me. So I print out the manual, still do, but you don't have to. That's the thing, is you can download it on your desktop and it's there forever. And so I do that. I do both. It's on my desktop, but I do like to download and bind the manual for myself, just because I write notes on the sides. I do messy. It's messy, and that's how I learn. And then I do check off, like I have it right here for module 4. So I do go through it, and I check off what I've done, and it just sort of keeps me aligned with what I'm supposed to doing. And each week I feel like I've accomplished something too. And I love it, because a lot of times you start off each week with an asana practice, with sadhana practice, and then you go in depth into, different topics as far as yoga psychology goes. And each module is like a unit unto itself. So that's really nice too. The quizzes at the end are great because they really bring all the information together and can make sure that you've learned it. And even if you've been watching some of the videos, it's like you might not retain all of it, and then you can go back in the module as you're taking that quiz and really go, oh yes, that's okay. I missed that part of it. Now I know it.
Right.
And as far as with the groups, we've had one, so we ended up missing one group, but the first one that we had was great. So it was really a nice way to just get to know the other students. And I think we're getting ready to have one coming up here, so that'll be the second one. But nice way to communicate with students, and we do little 10-minute teachings, and that's been very, very, you're put at ease. It's not stressful. It's not something that people should get all worked up by, in my opinion. I think we do anyways, because we put pressure on ourselves.
Yes.
And some of that's good, because you do want to do a little bit of pressure, but it's definitely, it's where you can realize mistakes can happen, and that's okay. So that's your safe spot to make mistakes, and just try it, just form your own words is basically what it is, practicing, finding your voice within the yoga. Right. Let's see, what else was there something else am I missing that you
we did. So we're doing the Facebook. We've got the private Facebook group and the group coaching that I do in the Facebook group. So historically, I've done that weekly. And then we've got the mentor, which you mentioned. The mentor is once a month. And so you get to practice. And again, that's part of the curriculum.
Right.
One piece I did want to mention, well, two quick things. One is we also do the virtual retreats. And so we've got 3 virtual retreats within each cohort. And so the first virtual retreat will be coming up on June the 15th, and that will be with Dr. Ginger Wolf. And she is a functional medicine expert and a women's health expert. And that will overlap with the current cohort and the new cohort. And then we'll have the trauma counselor, our trauma counselor coming back, who's got 20 years experience. She'll be coming back in August. I think it's the 11th off the top of my head. And then I'll have another virtual retreat that we will schedule in October.
Nice.
And that will most likely be our detox and cleanse expert, Ramesh.
Oh, see, that's so fun to be able to have.
So that's another cool part that I did want to mention is, like, we have 3 experts that are guest speakers that have like over probably like 70 years of experience, like, you know what I mean? Combining all of them, because Ramesh has got 30 years of experience. He studied in LA and India and in the Philippines. Sharon's got over 20 years of trauma experience. And then Ginger, Dr. Wolf, has 15 plus, somewhere between 15 and 20 years of what she does. And so she's a chiropractor, functional medicine doctor, and she specializes in women's health. Wow. So she's going to be talking about, like, hormones and weight loss and gut health and like all the things. So some of that will overlap with what we talk about with Ramesh, because we also do talk about gut health, and we get into that, leaky gut and healing your gut, and that whole, we're going to be getting into that probably like in the July timeframe. I'm going to be setting that up where we're going to be doing an actual 14-day detox.
Right.
And like each day there'll be a video, of those 14 days and walking you through it. So, and that's part of what we have going on actually right now, is a bonus that if someone does set up a consultation call between today and Monday, the 23rd, they get access to this bonus for those that are joining the new cohort. And that's a $1,500 bonus. So I just wanted to mention that. In case you've not, for those of you that are watching right now, in case you've not seen the post, FYI. In fact, let me just put the consultation link in the comments, because I've not done that yet. So it's wisemindsoulwarrior.com/book. That's the consultation page. So again, it's wisemindsoulwarrior.com/book. And then let me put just the page in, is wisemindsoulwarrior.com. And that has everything. And there's about 5 spots in there for you to set up a consultation call. So just FYI on that. Okay, so let me go back to us here. See what else, make sure we're not missing anything. Okay, so 2 last quick things. First of all, I want to thank you for you taking the time to be on here.
Oh, sure.
I'm really, really grateful because I know you're super busy, and I am so, so grateful for every student that has taken the time to share their experience and what WiseMind has done for them. But I would love for you to take just a quick minute to share if you were kind of sitting and talking to another student, you know, what would you tell them if they were like, okay, I'm getting ready to get on a consultation with Jenny, or I'm thinking about scheduling a consultation with Jenny, or I'm considering joining the program? What would you tell that student that is sitting here thinking about setting up a consultation call or joining the program?
Well, I would say, you don't, just because you call doesn't mean that you have to commit, so call to find out more information. And if your gut is telling you that something about this might be good for you long term, and that your instinct is saying, that's something of interest to me, and it gives you, a little lift. I know for me, when I first started, it's like there was a little light there that just shimmered and glimmered. And so I followed it. And so you follow that and you just ask questions, inquire, and then you'll know more to make that decision for yourself. And if it is the right time to do it, because it can't hurt, it's not like you call and then all of a sudden you're signed up and you have to commit for this and there's no backing out, it's not like that. So people might be, for the people that are nervous about that part of it, just talk it through, inquire about it, and then see, because that's really what this is about. It is truly for you, and benefiting you, and you're doing a service for everybody to be able to do that, to be able to dig deep within themselves, to get out of it what they put in it and what they want to get out of it as well.
Right. Yeah. And like back to your point of there is no obligation. And as I mentioned before, like Paige just said, it's like talking to a friend, and it is a consultative discussion. Like literally, we'll talk about things like you share what you want to share. Most people feel really comfortable sharing with me. But like, for example, we might talk about if you've done talk therapy, or if you've tried other programs, or just like where you are in your healing journey. And so that helps me to also see if it's a good fit for you to go into this program, right? So it doesn't mean you have to have talk therapy, but the point is that I'm having those types of discussions with you to kind of see where you are, and would I guide you into it, or is it not a good fit, right? And so, as I mentioned earlier, from a financial perspective, I'm here to work out a plan for you to make it work as best that I can. So if you're worried about that, don't not do a call because of that, because I literally have had multiple people that are like, well, I'm not sure. And it's like, set up a call and we'll talk about it, because there's literally too many plans. I mean, I literally have like 15 payment plans. Okay. So the point is there's way too many for me to put on a page. And so I have to be able to have a conversation with people in order to get them the right one that works for them. Okay. So I'm not here like trying to like pressure anybody into like joining the program. That's my last intention, to get somebody to get on a call with me. So, so in a nutshell, that is it, everyone. So I'm going to put the consult on here one more time, and it's wisemindsoulwarrior.com/book. And Paige, I want to thank you again.
Oh, sure. You're welcome.
I'm so, so grateful. And I'm so grateful because you have been such an amazing student. I mean, really, I mean that honestly, because
thank you.
You are so dedicated and you take it seriously and you care about it. And I'm so grateful for that. And you can see like just the fact that you had like your little syllabus out, like you are dedicated to this. And I'm really, really, I'm really appreciative to have a student like you in the program, really. And I mean that with all sincerity.
Well, you
And
make it easy to be a good student. You do. You make it
oh,
easy. So
thank
you give us everything that we need, which is great. It's very thorough, extremely thorough.
oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that because I've worked really hard on it.
Yeah,
Worked
you can
really
tell.
hard on it.
You can tell.
So I appreciate you saying that. Um, okay, and Christina is on here with us, and Christina is actually one of our beautiful students that is joining. She's actually coming. She's joining us from Alaska. So she will not be able to join us for the retreat in Asheville, but she is joining us online. And I did want to mention that before we jump off here, that there is an Asheville retreat that is included in the training. So when you join, you get access to an in-person retreat from July 15th through the 17th in Asheville. And Paige, that's here with us, is going to be joining us.
Can't wait.
So I am super excited about that. So I just wanted to mention that because it's, a full 2 days, 2.5 days, almost 3 days. It's at a 4-star level hotel. It's surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, a beautiful man-made lake in the middle. We're going to be doing yoga outside. One is at Inspiration Point. The other one's in an amphitheater. And then we're going to be doing the conference and the journaling, the yoga psychology immersion piece in a classroom setting. But then there's like pool, golf, tennis, kayaking, canoeing, hiking within 15 minutes, all there at the retreat. So that's important for me to mention, that you're getting that as part of the tuition, part of what you pay in the tuition, it's included. It's not necessary to get your certification. So we did that on purpose for the people like Christina that live in Alaska that aren't able to come. And also for the people that are worried about COVID and they don't feel comfortable coming. But a majority of people at this point do feel comfortable coming. And I would say about 80% of the students do come because it does enhance the experience. And we have gotten that feedback from students from last year that having the in-person connection with me as a teacher and also with the connections that you make with other students and other women is worth coming to the retreat. And we also are going to be doing stuff like the Fire of Transformation ceremony. And this is where you're going to write a letter to something you want to release. So it could be an inner critic. It could be a samskara pattern. It could be a person. It could be an experience. It could be an emotional reactivity pattern, like anger, for example. Right? So you're literally going to be journaling and writing a letter that we will be burning in a giant fire of transformation. Okay. And that's just one of the exercises we're doing in that weekend. So if you can make it to Asheville, get there. Okay. I'm not expecting Christina because, that's Alaska. But we've had a lot of people I've talked to from Colorado, from Florida, from New York City, all over the place that are, within the United States that are flying or driving to get here. So I invite you to join us, be one of the 20 students that are going to be part of this new cohort. So I am sending you so much love, light, and blessing. And please feel free to reach out to me. I see Rhythmia. You can message us on our Facebook group or also on our business page, which is WiseMind Yoga Psychology Meditation and Mindfulness Center. So please feel free to reach out to us on our business page and we will follow up with you there. Okay. All right. I am sending you all so much love, light, and blessing. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And Rhythmia, please do reach out to us on our business page. And Paige, I am so, so grateful for your time and your energy and your bright light. And I cannot wait to connect with you in July. And I will see you soon in the Facebook group. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. And we will see you all soon. Bye, Paige. Thank you.